Hello! Happy Saturday, everybody. I'm here with a special guest, and that is Kalliope. Am I saying that correctly?
Kalliope.
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 Kalliope. And her middle name's Sabrina. Her last name's Familos. And she is the owner of Anzula Luxury Fibers. Not only the owner, she literally has put her blood, sweat, and tears in her entire life into starting this business from her kitchen sink, and has one of the, I think, a very, very, very popular brand of yarn. In fact, it's her Anzula Squishy, which is the fingering weight, is one of my all-time favorite yarns. In fact, I have a project. My current project is in that yarn, so I almost always have some of her yarn with me. So I want to tell you how I first met her. And that is, I think it was about 2008. I wanted to meet a lot of other knitters in my area. And so through Ravelry, I was able to contact. Let me know if there's any echoing on here, because I almost feel like I hear echoing. So if any of you hear echoing, let me know. Anyway, through Ravelry, I found a lot of people who lived within 100-mile radius of me, and I have a friend who lives up in the mountains in an area called Springville, which is a very, very nice area to visit. And I arranged a get-together, a spinning and knitting get-together. And Sabrina, as she was called then, is what I want to call her, but she wants to go by her first name. Sabrina's her middle name. Showed up, and that's the first time I ever met her. And she brought her spinning wheel. She also brought some books that she had just bought at Stitches West, and I bought one from her, and it was Elise Duvau's One Stitch Below, or Knit One Below is the name of the book. And that was the first time I met her, and she had just started her business at that time, and I think she had just moved to Fresno, back to Fresno. So I'm going to let her talk a little bit, and I want to tell a little bit about your history. But first, tell what made you get involved in knitting and fiber to begin with, and then talk a little bit about your shop.
Well, I was actually drawn first to crochet, and I was a crocheter and spinner before I was a knitter. I learned to knit when I was 18 and learned to purl when I was 25. So during that time,
I love that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I was predominantly a crocheter for many, many years. And Anzula started out as hand-dyed spinning fiber, hand-spun yarn, and crocheted accessories. Mm-hmm. So that was predominantly what I was doing. And I was going to farmers markets, selling at craft fairs, and the such until I moved back to Fresno. And I moved back to Fresno in 2006. And at the time, the craft world here was not the same, and you couldn't sell a hat for like $30, $40. People wanted to pay just pennies on the dollar for a hat.
In Fresno, yes.
In Fresno, yes. Yeah. In the Bay Area, I had no problem selling my goods at what they cost to make. So, and another reason I was a crocheter is because I was very fast at crocheting. I could make a hat in 2 hours, and knitting, it would take 4 to 6, if not more, hours. So I basically, it's my addiction. And when people ask me how I created Anzula, it's basically to support my habit, because I had to keep the yarn in my house and keep it going. So I made things and was able to make beautiful things, sell them, and then buy more things.
Now, when you first started, I remember I went with you to the Lambtown Fiber Arts. We stayed together, actually, and I helped you set up there. And that was kind of towards the beginning, and you had a wide variety of fibers at that time, and more than what you have now, and a completely different way of dyeing things, I think. You had more variation in your colors, and so you've really evolved and gotten finer and finer and finer. Not just the quality of the yarns, but your dyeing is unbelievable. It's just, the colors are so beautiful. So it's been a long process and evolving. So How did you come up with the name Anzula?
Well, Anzula is kind of a made-up word that I created, and then I found out it actually existed. I was playing with my various language dictionaries and looking for sounds that I liked and words that I liked that had to do with crafting and creating. And nothing really had that mouthfeel that I was looking for. So I love the word azul. In Spanish, it means blue. And so I was adding sounds to it to see if I could create something I loved. And I came up with Anzula. And that was back in 2003. And at the time, Google was not what it is today. So I looked on there to see if I could find out if it meant anything. And the closest I could find was a Slavic female first name, but there was no definition. Now, if you search on Anzula, there's a bank, there are people in Florida and in Brazil with the name, and they're more than 10 years old. So I know they came before me. I don't know how they came with their name, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I loved the word and decided that that was what Anzula was going to be the business name. And so I decided it meant crafty in Sabrinese.
And
Sabrina was.
I love it.
Sabrina's my middle name.
It's kind of an exotic sounding name, you know, and but it sounds soft too, almost like fibers soft. So I really kind of like that too. So when you started serious in your business, because I know when I first met you, you were like dying in your kitchen sink type thing. And then you went to that first warehouse, right? Or was there a space in between there?
There was a space in between. So in 2010, I decided to go wholesale only. Up until then, I'd been doing craft fairs and farmers markets. I did Stitches West, Stitches South, Lambtown, and Sock Summit all in the same year. And when I applied to TNNA is when I decided to go wholesale only. And that's when I developed my semi-solid palette. And I developed my semi-solid palette because I wanted to have something that stitchers could create beautiful stitches with, and it was just the canvas for the stitches to become this beautiful project.
Right.
And so from my home in the beginning, excuse me, in the beginning of 2010, I went to a studio downtown, and it was about 1,000 square feet. And it was a 3-room studio. I was dying in the middle room, and in less than a year, I was exploding out of that space. And that's when I went to my warehouse that was downtown across the street from the baseball stadium.
Right.
And we were there until about 2 years ago.
And no air conditioning.
No air conditioning.
No air conditioning in Fresno. Oh my God! And all that steaming pots of water, and you drive back on the racks. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to interrupt your history a little bit just to welcome the people that are on here. And there's already a couple of questions. So we have Duke of Nico from Memphis, Tennessee.
Duke, I love you, Duke.
Olga, tell us where you're from. I think she's from Spain, I'm not sure. Elizabeth Nielsen from Sweden, Aline Mazuka from California, Fatima from Portugal, Diana Danko from Pennsylvania, Judith Lausch from Indiana, Sylvia Earle from Cameron Park, California, Belinda Drabble from England, Susan Day from Newcastle, Washington, Francoise from Lyon, France, Emily Beaton from Central Pennsylvania, Rona Shane from Southern California, Nancy Porter from Washington, MK from Brooklyn, Deborah from SoCal, Luann Wright, and I don't remember where she lives, Travis Starr from Valencia, Spain. Olga is from Sebastopol, California. Oh no, she wants to know if somebody's from, I think she's from Spain. Luann Hendricks from Missouri, and on and on and on. Quite a few more people. But
I recognize many of you.
Yes. Olga wants to know why I cut my hair. And I was talking about this just before we went live. I'm going to let my natural hair grow out. And let me put it on the both of us here right now. I'm going to let my natural hair grow out. And I wasn't sure what it was going to look like. Now it looks like my hairline goes way back here, but this is all gray, and you just can't see it's gray hair, and then I got this patch of gray right here, and the rest of it is my natural hair. But because all this is up front gray, and that's all I was seeing, I thought, oh my God, my whole head is full of gray hair. My mother lived to be 74 and never went gray, so I've always thought I wouldn't go gray, but I have some. So on a lark, out in the backyard with my grandkids, I had my son-in-law shave my head with my husband's beard trimmer. And this is how it looks. And actually, it's amazing. Oh, my God. And you take your clothes off and on, and they do not mess up your hair. And you can feel it on your skin. You can feel the air on your skin. And touching your head is just, it's really nice. I know, it's like giving yourself a hug. It's so awesome. So anyway, that's why I did my hair. So I don't have cancer, and I'm not on chemotherapy, okay? So I know there was a question here. Can the regular knitter, not shop owner, order yarn from Anzula now?
So to order yarn, you need to order through your yarn shop. All orders, it doesn't matter what color or what yarn your yarn shop carries. A yarn shop that has Anzula can order any yarn in any quantity, any color from us. But we do need orders to go through there so that our system stays organized. You can go on our website, anzula.shopify.com, to purchase anything we have in stock. And we ship that out within a few days. But ordering, we need to go through the shops.
Okay, so there's two things. Like if you want a specific yarn and it's not in stock right now, that's ordering. That's what you're calling ordering. But if they go to my Shopify and they see that what they want is in stock, they can purchase it from you?
Yes, that is correct.
And you're dying as fast as you can.
And we have thousands and thousands of skeins in stock right now.
Yes. So if you have not tried her yarn yet, do yourself a favor and try it. Her prices are reflective of the quality that you get. And I have this project right here. I'll open it up. So these are some of the colors.
Wow, that's gorgeous.
And so I just love her colors. Now, so continue on your story. So you grew out that first warehouse really quickly. I mean, amazingly fast, right?
Yeah. In less than a year, absolutely. And then I was looking for a space that was a little bit larger. I was thinking maybe twice the size, because we were in about 1,000 square feet, so 2,000 to 3,000 square feet. And the space that I found was a little over 6,000 square feet. And I thought that was way too much. But because it was an actual warehouse, the landlord only wanted $500 more rent than I was paying in the retail space I was at. And I could definitely afford that. So I decided to take the risk. And he offered me 1 month free for every year I signed. And I wasn't sure if we would be there more than 2 years, so I wasn't comfortable signing more than 2 years. And he was really trying to get me to sign a 3-year lease. And now I wish I had done that because we were there for, I think, 6 or 7 years. But hindsight's 2020. And then we were there, and we did a GoFundMe to get air conditioning. And we were all set to install air conditioning. And I brought it to him and made a proposal. And he said that I could do it, but he didn't recommend it because he was looking to sell. And I asked if we could buy the building, but he was wanting a ridiculous amount for the building, much more than it was worth. And so I wasn't willing to pay that. So we ended up searching for some place to buy, and we found this place. And it took a lot of rehabbing to be able to move in here. We purchased it. I don't remember what year we purchased it, but it was about 6 years ago. And it took us 4 years to do the plans and go through the city and do the construction. And then we were finally able to move in about 2 years ago.
Yes, and it's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's like a modern industry. It's amazing. So Christina Hildebrand, who lives here in Bakersfield, Christy, she says, talking about your yarn, she said it's like knitting with delicious butter. And I just can't say that enough. It is. It's, a lot of people knit to make things, but I knit. My joy of knitting is not only the end product, but it's the tactile process. So as the yarn flows through my fingers, and what I tell people, all my local people know this, people will say, you're going to knit a pair of socks and you want to spend $30 on a skein of yarn for socks. It's not $30 for a skein of yarn. So let's say it takes you 16 to 20 hours to knit that pair of socks. So if you paid $30, that's $1.50 an hour entertainment. Mm-hmm. I read faster than that. Okay, if I buy paperback books and I pay $7 or $8 for a paperback book, I can read it in one evening. I'm a very fast reader, so I don't get much value, entertainment value. Or if you go to the theater or the movies and you spend the money to get in, you buy your popcorn and your Coke or whatever you're going to drink, you watch the movie. By the time you've left, you spent $20 easily, and you have nothing to show for it. In knitting, you have all those hours of entertainment, and then you have the end product. So $20 or $30 for a skein of sock yarn is nothing as far as entertainment value is. And if you make a major blooper and you have to rip it out, you even get more for your money because you're getting more of the tactile sensation of the yarn running through your fingers and enjoying the process of knitting. So that's how I look at the cost of yarn. I do not look at it like, oh, I just spent $200 on yarn for my sweater. I could have bought that for $50 at the store. That's not it. I'm entertained by knitting the sweater, and it brings me great joy, and you can't pay for that. So let's see. Yeah, Christine says, yes, if the yarn stinks, then the project isn't as fun. Exactly. It's all about the yarn. Let me see. This is Diana Danko. She says, my local yarn store doesn't sell Anzula. What online store might have it? I'm not familiar with Shopify.
Well, Shopify is just like any other website. So you just go to anzula.myshopify, and as if you're shopping, you're just going on there finding whatever you want. And we have tons of categories, so you can find it either by fingering weight, yarns that have cashmere, yarns that have silk. We have lots of categories, so it's really easy to find what you're looking for. But if you're looking for an online shop, if you go to our website, anzula.com, we have it listed where to shop, and you can shop locally or you can shop online. And the local and online is all stores that have an online presence. And almost all of those are currently selling.
And I
Did you want to say?
I'm sorry. I know my local yarn store, the Twisted Skein, they have a lot of their yarns online now that you can choose, and they'll mail it to you. And I know other yarn stores. The yarn stores right now will do whatever it takes to sell their yarn. Okay? It's a tough situation right now. If you find a yarn store anywhere that has the yarn that you want, buy it from them. They can mail it to you,
The Twisted Skein has a huge array of our yarns. So you can get almost any color you're looking for there.
And I think he has a lot of them posted.
There are a lot of shops.
Okay.
A lot of what?
I think he has almost all of them posted online. I don't think they're all on there yet. He's in process of doing that. So now you're in your new shop. I mean, it's not new, but you're in the newer warehouse now, and you really, really upgraded. I mean, you got all new equipment, and you've got the air exhaust vents, and you've got the drying room, stuff that you did not have before. And you have your employees. You're loyal, trusted, wonderful, wonderful helpers. And what I like about you, your motto is part of your motto was that you wanted to pay a living wage to your employees. And that's one of the reasons that your yarn goes for the price it does. Because first of all, you're a local company. You're here in the United States. You're employing people in the United States, in California, in the Central Valley, which has a higher unemployment rate than other places. And you're paying them a wage that they can actually afford to pay their rent and buy groceries too. So, and then this coronavirus hits. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's been really hard. I believe it was the 17th that we had to lay off the staff because of the coronavirus with the shelter in place. What we do, they can't work from home. Everybody went home, and thankfully with California, they enacted a situation where the moment you're laid off, you get benefits from that day forward. So they didn't lose any income from the day they started. And there was also, usually unemployment is only a fraction of your regular income, and it was subsidized by California so that it was basically your regular paycheck.
I think that's a smart thing to do, because, a lot of people, I don't know what the word furlough really means, but they would just put people on standby, and then they get nothing because they're not unemployed. They do get to maintain their health benefits, but they're not getting a paycheck. It's better in this type of situation. I agree with what you've done. It's just laying people off so they can get their full benefits.
Yeah, and so the governor made an announcement on Friday that beginning this last week, people could come back to work. And so I set up some very strict guidelines of how we would interact in the warehouse. And since Tuesday, everybody's been back tentatively. We're not sure how long it's going to last. I kind of expect the governor to rescind this within 2 to 3 weeks, because here in Fresno, the numbers are already starting to spike again. But we're just kind of hustling and getting as much accomplished as we can during the time that we're all allowed to be here. We're very lucky in that we have 3 separate zones, and each zone has its own AC unit, which means that there's no recirculated air in different zones. So anybody in the dye room is breathing their air, people in the labeling and processing area are breathing their own air, and people in the office are breathing their own air. So people are quarantined to a specific work zone and not having to share air with other people. And from everything that I read, it's the transmission of air through the HVAC system that could potentially cause a contamination of the air.
Right.
So,
and also tracking on shoes. Have you read that? That it's
from what I've read, it's a very low likelihood of tracking in from shoes, but we're mopping and sweeping regularly. Anytime you leave a work zone, like a tabletop work zone, we spray it down. Doorknobs and bathroom fixtures, we're spraying down and wiping down. So I'm doing everything I possibly can. When people first come into work, they take their temperature, and if it's above 99 degrees, they're told they need to go home. And I'm putting everything in place to make sure everybody's as safe as possible, because I do not want to make anybody sick.
Right. So let's talk about your yarns.
Yes. The fun stuff.
Let's talk about the different lines of yarns that you have. Let's start with the most popular one. What's your most popular yarn?
Our most popular yarn is Squishy. And Squishy is superwash merino, cashmere, and nylon. And it is a fingering weight yarn, 385 yards to 4 ounces. And our skeins are actually slightly more than 4 ounces. They're 114 grams. So usually they're used for socks, baby garments, blankets, tops. The top I'm wearing right now is out of Squishy, and it's called the Zaftig Tee by Sheila Stromberg. And I think it's really cute. It's a crop top.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, I love it.
Very cute.
And I love the lace detail here.
Yes, very feminine.
So Squishy is our number 1 yarn. Number 2 is Cricket, and For Better or Worse is number 3. Squishy, being our most popular yarn, is available in a whole bunch of different put-ups. The regular full-size skein, it also comes in a 25 and 50 gram skein, and then it also comes in packs of skeinettes, and skeinettes are 20 gram skeins in sets of 5 or sets of 8. And I'm going to grab those real quick so you can see them. So the 5-pack is the skeinette, and we have 8 different names. This is Knit at Night, and then we have the skeinette chains, and we also have 8 of these, and this is Birds of Paradise.
Now I use one of the packs, the skeinette packs, to embroider a sweater that I did recently. So I used those colors to put the embroidery in through the cables and the lace work of my sweater, and so beautiful.
How fun! Beautiful. I don't know if you guys have heard of Local Yarn Store Day, but it was postponed to later this fall, and we're working with Brooklyn Boy Knits for a kit, and he made this cute shawl. That's our Local Yarn Store Day kit that will be debuting at the Local Yarn Store Day this fall.
And that and that's one of the skeinettes, right?
Yes.
Yes. So Deborah Cisneros says, and I've got to say your name correctly because I Kalliope smiles. She resembles Rosalind Russell, one of my favorite actresses.
Oh, cool. I've never heard that before.
Very cool. So, isn't that pretty? So that's a cowl.
Yeah, I love this. This is designed by Miriam Felton.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember the name at the moment, but I love this cowl. I made it myself. And the back, the wrong side, is just as fun to look at.
That's beautiful. Just beautiful. How fun. I love the color combinations.
Yeah. So much fun.
Yes.
But if you want to knit this cowl, it's by Miriam Felton.
Yes.
You can find it online on Ravelry.
Now, what's the most popular color in your squishy?
Fun fact, the most popular color in all of our yarns is au naturel.
Oh, how interesting.
I find so entertaining. It is 2% of our sales just in natural, which is totally entertaining. But beyond that, blues and grays. Shops have a very hard time keeping blues and grays in stock.
I think my favorite color is One Red Shoe.
One Red Shoe is fantastic. It's the perfect true red.
It is, and it looks so nice with the gray. I don't know if it was called elephant or what you call your gray now, but it looks
Elephant's one of them.
Looks so good with that gray. It's a perfect combination. And for people like, I have a friend right now who's doing some double knitting, and she wanted to do red and gray, but the gray made her red look brown.
Interesting.
But it's not your yarn. But I told her, I said, you have to get Squishy in One Red Shoe and get the gray and the elephant. They look really, really good together. Yeah. She likes the gray and red, but when she started doing the double knitting and putting them together, they conflicted with each other, which they shouldn't have. But so what's the next line that is most popular? You said you have the worsted weight, which is for better or worsted, and then the sport weight.
Cricket is our DK, and that's the second most popular.
Yes.
And this is Cricket. Actually, I don't have Cricket here because I put up all of our summer yarns behind me, which we have on the far end Milky Way, and then Squishy, Vera, and Breeze.
Can you talk about Vera a little bit?
Yes, Vera is silk and linen, and it is a sport weight. Very comfortable to wear when it's hot. Breeze and Vera are both silk and linen. Vera is a sport weight, and Breeze is lace, but it's kind of a heavier lace. I have a top out of both of them right here.
And they block so nicely.
So this is a top out of Vera. This pattern is called Tressage by Vera Suzanne. And then this is out of Breeze, And this is Nisoi Tea by Miriam Felton.
Yay! So we had Vera on.
Very cool to wear.
Yeah, we had Vera on here a couple of weeks ago. I interviewed her. And
isn't she wonderful?
She is so wonderful. She's one of my favorite designers. The reason I like her designs is she uses a lot of lightweight fabrics and knits for our area here.
She has a phenomenal brain.
Yes.
The way she does her top, down, side, and sleeve just blows my mind. This is Spring Showers by Joji Locatelli, and this uses Vera in 3 to 4 skeins, depending on your size.
Yes.
And I just love the way it flows.
I knitted that. I love that. I have it in the yellow, in the golden yellow Vera. I don't remember the name of the color, but it's gorgeous. That's fun to knit, and it's knit from side to side. All in one piece, and then you add the sleeves. And the peplum is so fun to knit with the short rows there.
Yeah.
And it blocks so nicely.
It hangs nicely on the sweater, too. We've had this for many years, and it's hung a lot during the shows, and it hasn't stretched out or done anything weird.
Right. So if you ever have, when things get to where people can travel again, you did an extensive amount of traveling promoting your business. I think you're probably one of the people most familiar with the United States at this point.
It's a beautiful country. I love the U.S.
So you've been, how many years did you travel? Like almost like half the year?
About 10 years. Since 2010, I've traveled all over the U.S. 2009, I traveled all over California. And actually, prior to that, I've always traveled a lot because my family lived far away. So my dad moved to Whidbey Island when I was a teenager. And we would drive back and forth from California to Whidbey Island in one day because I was young and crazy. And I would do that 12 to 14-hour drive.
Yes. So someone said, what was the name of that pattern again? The one with the Miriam Felton one?
That is Nisoi Tea, Nesoi.
Okay, and the one that is the rust-colored one with the peplum, is that the same one? That's not the same one. What's that one called? The one you just modeled.
This one is Spring Showers.
Yes, that's right, Spring Showers.
By Joji Locatelli.
Okay, yes. I want to interview her. I think she'd be a good interviewee, too. She's a very interesting brain.
Yes.
Deborah Cisneros says she loves the two colors together, which I don't know which one she's saying, but she said that. So now
the two colors, maybe she meant this?
Oh, maybe. That's what those skein knits. So the for better or worsted, that's also very, very popular, right? That's your worsted weight?
Yes.
And
for better, it's a 4-ply.
And those are generous skeins also. Your weights, they're always weigh more than 100 grams, and you always get more. It's never short. And another thing I like about your skeins, I don't think I've ever encountered a knot.
They have been, but they're few and far between. We try really hard to not have any breaks in the yarn.
And your colors or your dyeing process is pretty consistent. Although if you're going to knit a sweater, you do need to get it all at once. But really, one red shoe has stayed pretty much one red shoe all this time. And that was one of your colors from the beginning, right?
Right. It was actually created, there was a color competition at Sock Summit, and that was one of the colors I submitted.
Yes, Sock Summit was fun. So Deborah Cisneros says she loves the color of what you're wearing. Which color is this?
This is one of our new colors. This is Vixen.
Vixen? Vixen. I think I have a couple of skeins of that right here. Actually, this purple that's right here is Vixen. That's with the yellow.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
You're not on the screen currently.
Oh, thank you. I get carried away. So this with the yellow right here.
Oh, wow. That's so pretty.
Is the Vixen. And then down, let's see, I have it's with yellow there. It's with kind of an orange here. I actually love that combination of the yellow and the vixen. But I bought several more skeins because my next project that I'm going to make is going to be a double knit vest for myself. And so when in experimenting on this scarf, I'm trying different color combinations together to see what it is that I want to have for my vest. So vixen is one of them.
One of the fun things about our different yarns is some of them take the colors slightly differently. This is Milky Way, and it's the same color vixen. And you can see in Milky Way, it's a bit purpler. I love wearing Milky Way. The Nisoi tee that I showed you a minute ago, I made one out of Milky Way and was wearing it in the hot, humid summer in Texas. And it not only kept me cool, but it wicked away moisture so that I wasn't feeling sticky.
Yes.
It's a really wonderful, magical yarn if you get hot a lot. And I'm hot all the time.
So tell us about that yarn. What is it made from?
Milky Way is made from milk protein and superwash merino. And milk protein is from actual milk. So there's two proteins in milk, casein and whey. And casein reacts with an acid like vinegar and heat. And when you combine heat, acid, and casein together, it solidifies. And in that solid state, they extrude it to create yarn.
How interesting. That's very cool. So what other combination fibers do you have?
Silk and linen, like the Vera and Breeze. We have tencel, alpaca, and nylon, and that's the lace weight meridian. Cashmere and sparkling stellina with superwash merino, and that's Lucero and Lunaris. Lucero is a DK, Lunaris is a fingering. Nebula is superwash merino with stellina. There's no cashmere in that one, and that's fingering. We have Tussa silk and merino, and that is, it could be worsted, croquet, silken, and luster. We have yak and merino, and that's Katara, 100% cashmere, and that is Serenity. Am I missing any? I feel like I'm missing somebody.
That's a lot. Now, you used to have one that had the camel in it. Remember that?
Yeah. We had Oasis and Coal. Oasis was a sport weight and Coal was an Aran weight. And Oasis was one of my favorite yarns. It was camel and merino.
Yes.
Unfortunately, our source disappeared, and we found a new source, but the price point per skein was going to be over $50, and I didn't feel like that was reasonable.
No.
It wasn't something that most people could afford. And we try to, while we are a luxury yarn company and we do have higher prices, I try to keep it in a realistic frame of pricing.
Yes, yes. So what's interesting, like the Oasis, what I really liked about that, because the camel and the merino take the dye differently. So it had this very almost, I want to say heathered, but it wasn't heathered, but it was just this really interesting look about the dyeing.
Soft and muted.
Yes, yes, just gorgeous. And that's something that makes the luxury fibers, like the combinations, the merino, cashmere, nylon, is how it takes up the dye. The different fibers take up the dye differently, and that's what gives it a lot of the depth to and these yarns are just, like Christy said, it's like knitting with butter. It just really, really is. So, what are your plans from here? It's hard to say, isn't it?
That is, yes. Right now, we are just trying to keep the lights on. We are supporting our shops in every way we can. When a shop has special order, we get it out just as quickly as possible because we always know customers wanted the yarn yesterday. And then we're getting in orders from shops, which we really, really appreciate. And we are supporting our shops by every time you make a purchase from us and you list the name of your shop with their city and state, we give 25% of that sale to the shops. Wow. Because we need both of us to still be here at the end of all of this. So
Champ Smith says she wants the name of the Joji Locatelli sweater again because she missed it. She's looking online for it.
Spring Showers.
Yes, and it's a fun knit. I did that myself, and it's fairly quick, and it's got enough change up in it. It's not too boring, and it's so darn cute on.
And if you're trying to figure out how to spell all of that,
there you go. That? It's JojiLoCattelli, and you can find that on Ravelry. That pattern.
And Joji Locatelli is the name of the designer. Spring Showers is the name of the pattern.
And Joji is the designer, yes. And she has a lot of other pretty things too. And this is Deborah Cisneros. She says, I really appreciate your business model, and I'm looking forward to trying your yarns. And Susan Day says, love what you are doing for local yarn stores. Very generous.
Thank you.
And that's the way you run your business. You're generous with your employees. You're generous with the yarn stores. And I know when I was working on designing things, you support designers as well. You provide the yarn, and you have a lot of garments there, which you have that rack of them there. But I know you have even more than that people have designed things specifically for your yarn. And it's a give and take thing. It's give and take. One person supports the other. It makes the whole world go a lot better. So people can support you by going through their local yarn stores and ordering yarn, or going online and purchasing what you have in stock.
And both are very important.
Yes.
Going and buying our yarn directly from your yarn store is so important because it keeps us both alive.
Yes.
We do appreciate the sales you purchase directly through us, but both sales are so important.
And it costs the same either way. So you will not get a different price by going to the Shopify account. It's the same price, because you'll never undercut your shops. Never.
Never.
And so you might as well just go through your shop if you can. If they don't carry it, then you can go online and get it directly from Anzula.com.
Yeah, and when you do that, please list your local yarn store with their city and state, because we want to give them part of that sale.
Yes, to support them. And I know our local yarn store, we do a pretty good business in Anzula Yarns. That's the first place I go when I go in the stores, to the wall of the Anzula.
Oh my gosh, it's so dreamy. I love looking at it all.
Yeah, so Duke of Nico says, I got a lot of yarn from her at Stitches West. I'm still super grateful. So that's a good.
Yeah, Duke's the designer. He's fantastic. And he's going to be doing some really cool color work things with our skeinets that are behind me. Actually, it's this one here. Let's see.
Yes.
That one right there is somewhere over this is our rainbow skeinet. And let's see, it's hard to figure out how to point like this. But it's the rainbow skeinet.
I want to ask you, what is your favorite yarn base, and what is your favorite color?
Oh my gosh, it's like trying to pick my favorite child. It depends on the day. Some days it's marigold, which is an amazing orange that has a lot of red highlights. Some days it's blueberry. Some days it's Keola. There's so many good colors. I love Vixen that I'm wearing right now. And then the yarn, I'm making something out of For Better or Worsted. I'm making something out of Vera. I'm making something out of Milky Way. There's really no favorite yarn.
I can't imagine having access to all that yarn, just being able to work with whatever I want. That is a total indulgence. Very, very cool.
I am very fortunate.
So let's see if anybody has any questions. I'll give you a couple minutes here if anybody else has any questions. And I want to thank you for participating in our interview. And I hope this helps expose you even more, although in the United States you get quite a bit of exposure. Okay, MK says, do you think the color or yarn base when you're creating, what do you think of color or yarn base when creating your yarns?
So structure of yarn is super important to me, and I think of the structure first. So I work with our mills to design our yarns. And it's really important to design a yarn that has a nice tight twist, because as you're knitting with a yarn, you're slightly untwisting it. And if you are untwisting it too much, the yarn will bloom out and fuzz out, and your project's going to look really old really fast. And because we're a luxury yarn company, I want us to have beautiful heirloom pieces that are going to last much longer than just a few washes. So I think of that first. And then once I have the yarn, I play with the color to see if it's going to accept our color as well. Sometimes we've had some yarns come to us that they didn't accept the color very well, and it just didn't work out. I guess I'll take that a step back. We'll play with the fiber to see if it's something we like before we experiment with creating the structure of the yarn. But yeah, the structure is the most important, because as long as it has certain elements, it will take the yarn. The colorway's fine.
So this is a very unique point of view, because you started out as a fiber artist before being a dyer. So
yes, I was a spinner first.
You know how you want your fiber to be in the end product. Whereas there are other companies that are just yarn companies. And so they're not necessarily knitters. In fact, I'll tell you, there's one store that I was ordering yarn from, and I asked them, I called them on the phone, and it was not a yarn store, it was a yarn company. And I asked them a specific question about the twist of the fiber, whether it was comparable to another one, and they really couldn't answer my question. And it was kind of disappointing, because I thought they should be an expert in that area.
I have found that a bit shocking when companies or stores don't understand structure of yarn. I've even worked with mills that didn't quite get it, which was particularly mind-boggling. I have unfortunately worked with quite a few mills where when you're designing a yarn, it's not a quick process. It usually takes 2 to 3 years from start to finish, finding the fibers, creating the twist and everything. And I have trained some mills on the entire process, and then they decided to not do wholesale and just do retail, and kind of wasted a lot of time. But how are you going to know until you just get into it?
Yes, exactly. Now, Francois says, do you have any retailers in France?
Yes. And for some reason, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything, but if you go to our website, you can see the map of all of our shops, and you can see who carries us in each country. And so we have the US, we have Europe, and we have Asia, and I believe we have, I forget what they call it, but the region of Australia and New Zealand, and we also have shops in South Africa.
Wow, amazing. So Christina says, do you ever want to go the speckled route?
We have 3 speckles. They are Jawbreaker, Gumball, and Dark Matter.
I love Dark Matter. Dark Matter
isn't it pretty?
Yes.
Yeah, but we're not going to go any deeper than that. It's something fun we do, and there's a few, some shops can do specialty colorways, limited colors or shop colorways, and some of them are speckled, but we're not going to go any further than that, because our true love is the semi-solids.
Right. And Judy Joyce says, the tight twist is my favorite thing about your yarn.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot.
And this is from Duke again, Duke of Nico. He says, do you have a favorite Japanese word or phrase? You studied it in school, right?
Yeah. So moshi moshi is how you answer the phone. And I sometimes use it, not inappropriately, but I sometimes use it to greet friends. But that's kind of my favorite thing to say is, hello, moshi moshi.
So Sheila has a question, but I'm not sure. She says, do you prefer yarn to be spun woolen or worsted? I think you lean towards the worsted.
I prefer worsted.
Yes.
Because worsted is having the fibers all in the same direction. Woolen is the direction of the fibers are many different directions. And for a luxury yarn, the sensation of feeling the yarn when all the fibers are in the same direction creates a smooth sensation, and in your mind creates a softer yarn, and that's how the way it's perceived is softer. So with our luxury yarns, when you're first touching it, if all the fibers are in the same direction, it just feels extra delicious and extra buttery.
Yes, yes, it's silky smooth, rather than being prickly.
Yeah. When it's woolen, sometimes you feel the ends of the yarn sticking out, and it can feel a little prickly.
Exactly. And then when
Like
it's
your hair.
yes,
It feels prickly like this, but it feels smooth when it's all brushed back.
when it's spun worsted, it's loftier, lighter, and more air, and a lot warmer because it's a more insulation process purposes. And worsted, you have a tighter spin, less air.
Actually, woolen would be warmer because there's so many different directions. It holds more air.
Right. The woolen is the insulating. Worsted is less air and tighter spin, lined together. So they're combed rather than the rologs. The rologs would be for the woolen.
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody else have any other questions? Let me put me back on here too. So, gosh, I wish I was young like you. Oh my God, you're so beautiful.
You look lovely.
Okay, so I want to thank you for being my guest today. And
my pleasure.
I will continue supporting you. I love your yarn, and I hope that everybody else does too, and all of your workers there. And say hi to Charlie and the gang there. So have a happy day. Happy knitting.
Thank you. It's been so nice chatting with everybody.
We'll see you again. Thank you.
See you soon.